Hey guys, I'm Mrs. Delavecchia, and before we start, I want to remind you to take notes using the guided notes that are in your unit packet. Those notes will be a part of your grade. If you have any questions, write them down and we'll go over them in class. So let's get started. Welcome back to part 2 of distance and midpoint. Originally this was going to be one video, but we split it out into 2. Distance took a little bit of time, so we've already done the distance formula, and now this video will look at finding the midpoint of a segment. Alright, so the next thing we're going to look at is how to find the midpoint of a line segment. So here we're given 2 points, 8, -6. Let me go ahead and put these on this graph. So there's points G and H and the line between them. But we can, finding the midpoint is relatively simple. We are just going to use those coordinates. I'm going to write them over here. To find the midpoint between these two, I'm going to look at my x's, 8 and -14, and I'm going to add them up. 8 plus a -14 and divide them in 2 to find the middle, right? It's the middle of where these two are. And 8 minus 14, and it would be a -6 divided by 2, which is -3. So the x coordinate of the middle point would be -3. I'll do the same thing for y, -6 plus 12 divided by 2. So the difference there is 6. Divide by 2 and +3. So the middle point on this line should fall at -3, 3. Let's check it out and see if that looks right. And we're pretty close. You know, again, it's a hand-drawn graph, so things will be a little bit off. But that's the idea. You add the x's, divide it in half, add the y's, divide it in half, and you get the middle point. All right, here's 2 more quick practices. We have our points here. I'm going to add my x's. 5 plus a -4, divide by 2, 5 minus 4. So 1/2 is the x middle. 12 plus 8 divided by 2. 20 divided by 2 is 10. So the coordinate of this middle would be 1/2, 10. Maybe you want to pause the video, try it, and then see if you get it right. I'm going to add my x's. -3 over 2. I'm going to add my y's. Divide by 2. Alright, so this middle coordinate would be -3/2. -1/2. And we don't really need to graph it, we can just calculate it. In this example now, we're looking for a missing endpoint, and we're given the middle and another endpoint. So we're going to do the same idea, but it's just our variable, our unknown thing is going to show up in a different place. So we're looking for the endpoint P. Find the coordinates of the missing endpoint if P is the midpoint. So we're looking for G actually, and G is going to be x, y. Alright, so the way we're going to work this is it's the same way, because remember our middle, so let's look at x. For x's, our middle is -5. That was our answer before, and we added up the ends. So I'm going to add the ends and divide by 2. To solve this, I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. Okay, -10. These will cancel, equals x minus 8. I can rewrite that in this order. Add 8 to both sides. Add 8, add 8. X equals -2. Let's try to set up the y. So the middle is 10 equals the ends. Okay, you're going to solve these pretty much always the same. Multiply both sides by 2. and then y would equal 20 minus 6. Okay, so my endpoint that I was missing was a negative 214. All right, go ahead and pause the video and try this one, and then come back and check it. Okay, so here we are looking for a point. P is the middle. They gave us D as an endpoint, so we have another point that is what we need to find out. That is the xy. Okay, and then the middle is negative 1, 3. All right, so again, the middle is going to equal one end plus the other endpoint divided by 2. And then to solve this, I multiply both sides by 2, and I get negative 2 equals x plus 5. So when I multiply this by 2 and multiply this by 2, that's what's happening here. Okay, then I'm going to minus 5 to both sides, solving for x. X equals negative 7. So the middle point for x is negative 7. I'm going to do the same thing for y. The middle for y is 3. That equals the end plus the other end divided by 2. Multiply both sides by 2. 6 equals y plus 6. And then subtract 6 from both sides, and y would equal 0. So my endpoint that I looked for is going to be negative 7, 0. Now we've added in a little bit of extra algebra to this problem. It says find the measure of PR, the entire segment, if Q is the midpoint of PR. So it's telling us this is the midpoint. Let me bring this up. Q is the midpoint. So what does that tell us? If it's the midpoint, that means PQ is congruent to QR. All right, well, if these are congruent, that means PQ must equal 6 minus 3x as well. You could set this up one of two ways. You could think about, all right, well, I need 6 minus 3x plus another 6 minus 3x should equal 14x plus 2, right? So I could say it like this: 2 of the half segments should equal 1 of the entire segment. And that would be the equation I would want to solve. It would be the same as saying to yourself, all right, this half of this segment would equal this one. So you could set up this equation: 6 minus 3x equals 14x plus 2 divided by 2, half of that. And what you'll notice, if I go to solve this, well, what am I going to do first? I'm going to say I need to multiply this entire side by 2 and this side by 2, and these would cancel out. And so if you notice that, now you're back to the same problem right here. Okay, and so working out these numbers, I'm going to distribute this to 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times minus 3x is negative 6x. And nothing changed there. I'm going to look at both sides of my equation. I'm going to get my x's to one side by adding 6x to both sides. So 12 equals 20x plus 2. Then I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. 20x then equals 10, and divide both sides by 20, and x is going to equal 1/2. All right, here's another example. So go ahead and pause the video, try it, and then come back and check your work. That's it for today. We will practice some more in class. Talk to you later.